Chapter 5, Guarding Alertness. In the preceding chapter, we discussed about practicing the Bodhisattva precepts. And we discussed that it is not enough to cultivate bodhicitta, but also to practice it. And in order to guard the precepts and practice it, it is first of all important to guard your mind, guarding alertness, guarding your mind. And in order to guard your mind, you need to maintain mindfulness. And with mindfulness, you should then engage in the practice of mind training. Right? So first it discusses about how to guard your mind in order to guard your precepts. So here what you need to know is the meaning of mindfulness. Meaning of mindfulness means not to forget what is to adopt and what is to give up. Not to forget what is to adopt and what is to give up. And next is guarding alertness or conscientiousness, which means whether you are sitting alone or you are sitting with many people, but you should always examine your body, speech, and mind, and you should engage in any activities by fully aware of what you are doing. ऐसा नहीं कि आप कहीं जा रहा है पता भी नहीं कहाँ जा रहा है आपको, जहाँ दुनिया जा रहा है वहाँ जा रहा है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. कहाँ जा रहा है, किससे मिल रहा है, क्यों मिल रहा है, मतलब क्या है वहाँ जाने का, है ना? So you should be fully aware about your activities of body, speech, and mind. Those who wish to guard this practice should very attentively guard their minds. For those who do not guard their minds will be unable to guard their practice. Just as we have discussed already, that you should be a teacher to yourself. So you should see your mind like a horse and mindfulness like a rope and guarding alertness like a human being. So therefore the mind must be guarded by mindfulness and conscientiousness. So mindfulness means make sure that your mind stays on the chosen object. And whenever it is getting distracted and starts wandering, then it is the job of conscientiousness to say, mind, now mindfulness, you are not staying on the object. Right? So, right? So therefore, if you do not guard your mind with mindfulness and consciousness, you will not be able to protect and guard your precepts. Therefore, in order for those people who really want to protect the three precepts, those who wish to guard their practice, here it says practice, but actually it says those who wish to guard their precepts or training. Three precepts, three training. The training on morality, training on concentration, and training on wisdom. Three shiksha bolta hai na, three shiksha, labasum. So those who want to guard these three shikshas, then it is important not to get distracted, and with mindfulness and conscientiousness, you should remain alert. Rabdu dimne, should very attentively, means remain focused and guard their minds. Because if you don't guard your mind from the influence and the invasion of the negative emotions, then it's not possible to guard the three precepts. So this is just almost like a summary of the chapter. Then for more elaborate explanation, how all the harms that you get arise from your mind. Now that will be explained. In this world, unsubdued and crazed elephants are incapable of causing such harms as the miseries of the deepest hell, which can be caused by the unleashed elephant of mind. So he's saying, think about a mad elephant. If you let loose a mad elephant, it can destroy your beautiful garden, you know, topple trees, break many things. But still, that damage is limited compared to the mad elephant like mind. If you let this mad elephant like mind untamed and let it rule by negative emotions, then it can do unthinkable damage, including your being projected into the hell. Right? That's what it's saying. Therefore, but if the elephant of mind is firmly bound, उसको बांध के रखना चाहिए. On all sides by the rope of mindfulness. Mindfulness is compared to a rope of mindfulness. All fears will cease to exist and all virtues will come into my life. So all these fears and unhappiness that you experience let your mind run wild. We keep on seeing what other people are saying about me. We keep on going and visiting those places where there's a lot of hustle and bustle and gossiping about meaningless things. Then your mind is affected. But if you don't just keep on visiting all those troublesome places, you will have no idea. Even if somebody is saying something bad about you, you will have no idea. When you have no idea, it's like equal to nothing has happened. So problem arises because you keep on seeing what you should not be seeing, you keep on listening to what you should not be listening. Then when you listen to other people, what will you listen? You will primarily keep on listening. This person is not good, this person is good, this now, okay, वही सुनेगा, वो क्या सुनेगा? धर्म को ही सुनेगा. In the street, marketplace, what are you going to hear from people? What is it that you normally hear from people? Basically, your mind is already weak, and in addition to that, you keep on visiting those places and keep on listening to those disturbing, statements. Your mind is disturbed. Right. So therefore, it is important to maintain mindfulness. Tigers, lions, elephants, bears, snakes, and all forms of enemies, even the guardians of the hell walls, evil spirits, and cannibals. Cannibals, you know? Cannibals, what is cannibal? Huh? Cannibal means people who eat human flesh. There is incident, I'll tell you special story for you. There was a group of American tourists who went to a land of cannibals. The whole morning they went around sightseeing. Then lunchtime came, and then they had prepared the lunch nicely on a nice table. But you know what they organized? Human flesh, human flesh. So then the American tourists came and said, "This is very uncivilized." You know why they said this? Why the American tourists said this? No. They said this is very uncivilized, not because there is human flesh, but because there is no fork and knife. See, this is I want to tell you this story because these days, if you use fork and knife, you are civilized. It doesn't matter what you eat. You see? Like what is this word? Anyway, will all be bound. All these harmful animals like tiger, lion, elephant, animals, evil spirits, all be bound by binding my mind alone, and will all be subdued by subduing my mind alone. देखो नुस्खा आपके पास है, इन सबको कंट्रोल करने के लिए फॉर्मूला आपके पास है. Sometimes when I give talks like this, many years before, especially to students, then some of the Tibetan students, they get up and say, "Krishna, I find very evil force." बार-बार वही क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, evil ghost is haunting me. तो मैंने मजाक में उनको बोला कि how many unemployed evil ghosts are there? Unemployed, right? Because you start feeling that the evil ghosts are there, they are following you. It is not necessarily evil ghost is there. Your mind is making it up. जब हम छोटा था तो रात को बाहर जाना मुझे डर लगता था. मैं अकेला जाएगा तो फिर मुझे सुनाई भी देता था कोई मुझे पीछे कर रहा है, लेकिन पीछे देखेगा कुछ नहीं. Your mind is making up. Really? Right? And the important thing is, I said this because your mind is making it up in many, many cases. Sometimes it may be true, but generally your mind is making it up. This is what I want to tell you. When you are physically weak, viruses will attack you. Beginning. So when you are mentally weak, then all kinds of diseases, even cause you become susceptible to all these things. When you become susceptible to all these viruses and things like that, then this clearly shows that you are becoming weak. When you are strong, people also cannot bully you. When you are weak, people bully you. Unfortunately. Then you start seeing ghosts or whatever. Right? So you need to do physical meditation. And then you do less harm. So that's the meaning. Will all be bound by finding my mind alone, or dignity. Bind your mind, and will be subdued by subduing my mind alone. In this way, the perfect teacher, the Buddha, has shown that in this way all fears as well as all boundless miseries originate from the mind. Fears, not fear. Most of the fears are created by misunderstanding, lack of knowledge, misperception, and your own weakness. Fear. And then self-grasping. मुझे क्या होगा? There are people who, even when they have everything, they have fear. Because you can start thinking about मैं कल मार भी सकता है, फिर मैं क्या करूँ? मेरा रिश्तेदार बीमार करते हैं, मैं क्या करूँ? मैं एकदम फेल हो गया, फिर मैं क्या करूँ? वही अब बोल रहे हैं. So you invite all this kind of so you are inviting all this. That's why the Buddha said that all fear, all suffering, unthinkable fear, unthinkable suffering, all originate from your mind. Because we talk about hell then, right? 10 things, hot hell, cold hell, neighboring hell, so many hells we talk about. But honestly speaking, these are all creation of your mind. Otherwise, who will prepare hells for you to punish? कोई संचालक है वहाँ, आपको पनिश करने के लिए hot hell बना दिया वहाँ, cold hell बना दिया, right? So therefore the text says, who intentionally created all the weapons for those in hell that we talk so much? Who created the binding iron ground? From where did all the women in hell ensure that Buddha, the mighty one, which means Buddha has said that all such things are the workings of an evil mind. When your mind goes in the wrong way, you start seeing apparitions, you start seeing many things. Hence, within the three world spheres, there is nothing to fear other than my mind. Got it? Somebody is imitating me, right? Then, likewise, from the next verse, it is talking about how all the virtues also arise from the mind. If the perfection of generosity were the elevation of world's poverty, then since beings are still starving now, in what manner did the previous Buddhas perfect it? So that means when we talk about perfection of giving, it is also a state of mind, state of the mind of the practitioner. It doesn't mean the elevation of all the poverties. If it means the elevation of all the poverties, then Buddha had already reached perfection of giving. So why still people are suffering? Why still there is poverty? So it's primarily mind. Similarly, similarly in the case of perfection of morality, nowhere has the killing of fish and other creatures been eradicated. अभी भी चल रहा है. For the attainment of merely the thought to forsake such things is explained as the perfection of moral discipline. So perfection of morality means that in your thought you should have attained that state of forsaking harm to other living beings. Otherwise, how can we save all the animals from being killed? So perfection of morality also stated that. Similarly, perfection of patience. Unruly beings are as unlimited as space. हर जगह में है unruly पे पागल पागल लोग हर जगह में है. They cannot possibly all be overcome. But if I overcome thoughts of anger alone, this will be equivalent to vanquishing of all fears. So patience is also a state of perfection of your mind, not elimination of all the enemies. Then this is a very beautiful example. Where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the earth? But wearing leather just on the soles of my shoes is equivalent to covering the earth with it. So that means with the fear, when you move around, thinking that when I move around, unless I cover the whole globe with leather, my feet will be pricked by thorns and broken glasses. So with that fear, if you try to cover the whole globe with leather, is it possible? It is not possible, and it is also not necessary, because your concern is the sole of your feet being hard. So for that, you wear nice shoes with nice sole. This is like equal to having covered the whole globe with leather. This is a beautiful example, right? You cannot eliminate all the enemies, all the troublemakers, right? So likewise, it is not possible for me to restrain the external course of things, but should I restrain this mind of mine, or this mind of what? This mind of me, what? This mind of mine, maybe. What should be the need to restrain? Then, mm, then effort. Although the development of merely a clear state of concentration can result in taking birth in Brahma's realm, physical and vocal actions cannot so result when accompanied by weak mental conduct. So that means the perfection of effort is also found in the mind, right? Also, the development of a merely a clear state of concentration means, for example, the clear states of mind like loving kindness and compassion, right? When your compassion is not so, you know, dimmed, but rather when it is luminous and clear, right? When your love and compassion is like the love and compassion that you have uh, to your children, then you will be able to born into higher realms of form like the realm of Brahma, and then you are able to actualize very special beliefs, right? So all this is possible because physical and vocal actions cannot so result when by weak mental conduct. That means, so you're able to achieve such higher result with rebirth like in the Brahma's realm is the result of your physical and verbal and mental action, effort, right? Without effort, you will not be able to reach such a state, right? Similarly, perfection of concentration improves the state of your mind. The knower of the reality, which Buddha has said, that even if recitation and physical hardships are practiced for long periods of time, they will be meaningless if the mind is distracted elsewhere. So that means you may be reciting a lot of prayers every day, doing a lot of prostrations every day. But while doing all these things, if your mind is distracted, you are not concentrating, then those recitations do not have much meaning. And remember, His Holiness the Dalai Lama once saying that when you do any spiritual practice, the practice done it can be done by the body, speech, and mind, out of which the one done by the mind is more symbolic than the one done by the body and speech. For example, if you're going around the temple, reciting some mantras or doing some prostrations, so physically you are doing prostration, good. Verbally also reciting mantra, Om Mani Padme. But if your mind is thinking about money, then gradually what happens is earlier you were reciting Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme, then gradually it will become money, money, money. Because mind is controlling your physical and verbal activity. But on the other hand, if your mind is totally engaged in contemplation, then physically you can't do anything wrong, verbally you also can't say anything wrong. So that means the real practice has to be done by the mind. Therefore, it is important to remain concentrated. Then the perfection of wisdom. Even those who wish to find happiness and overcome misery will wander with no end, no meaning, if they do not comprehend the secret of the mind, the paramount significance of that. So this was the saying that, in short, even if you want happiness and you want to destroy suffering, but if you do not know the secrecy of the mind, which is the most important of the Dharma teaching, then you will end up wandering endlessly. So what is the secrecy of the mind? What is the secrecy of mind? What is the secret nature of your mind? What is it? Huh? What is it? The secrecy of your mind is the emptiness nature of your mind. This is called the secrecy or secret of mind because hardly anybody knows the ultimate nature of the mind. That the mind also does not have inherent intelligence. Right? So once you know this, meaning that once you develop this wisdom, which knows the ultimate nature of the mind, which is devoid of independent existence, then you are actually uprooting the root cause of samsara, which is ignorance. And when you don't have that, then you will end up only endlessly. अगर आपने, for example, if there is a poisonous tree here, if this poisonous tree, if you uproot it, then that is the solution. Without uprooting it, if you cut some branches and some leaves, the tree will continue to grow and spread the poisonous effect, right? So therefore, if you really want long-lasting happiness, then uproot the root cause of all the problems. The cause of all the problems is negative emotions. There are 24,000 negative emotions. And then, but they all have their root in the three poisons. What are the three poisons? Ignorance, attachment, hatred. Which are the Kumpul Dharma. Normally we don't say anger or kumpul. Hatred. Kumpul is sometimes positive. Hatred is very negative. Right? So out of these three, who is the real boss? What do you mean by ignorance? When we could not, what is reality? Ultimate reality is what? Right? So what do you need to understand here? I'm going to repeat this again in the wisdom circle. So what you need to see here is, when we say, when we use the word self-granted, ignorance is not just knowledge. I'm using the word not just. Lack of knowledge is also there, but it is not just a lack of knowledge, but ignorance is not just lack of knowledge, but misconception of reality. Write this down. Ignorance is not just lack of knowledge, but a misconception of reality. If it is just a lack of knowledge, it is not good, but it is less harmful. If you explain to them, this is your ignorance, they will accept it and try to remove it. But if it is misconception of reality, then even if you try to tell them that this is wrong, they will try to defend it. Because misconception of reality is based on some illogical reasoning. Illogical reasoning. Right? And this is possible because when we say, now come to the point. Things exist, right? Things exist. Chair exists, table exists, human beings exist, so many things exist, right? When things exist, there are only two ways of existence. Either they should exist dependently or they should exist independently. There is no third possibility. No third alternative not possible because independent existence and dependent existence are mutually exclusive. तीसरा मौका नहीं है, right? You should understand this now. So things exist, that we all agree, right? Now the next question is, if things exist, do they exist dependently or independently? Dependently, right? dependently, right? Because they are dependent on causes and conditions, dependent on name, designation, things like that. So they are dependent. Therefore, things exist dependently. Now, if things up to both Aslan again. If things exist independently, then things cannot exist independently. वही हुआ ना, वो दोनों विपरीत है दोनों, दो में से एक ही हो सकता है, वो आपने चुन लिया, कौन सा जो करोड़पति हो गया, चुन लिया, मैंने भी उसको लॉक कर दिया, ठीक है? So now because things exist dependently, therefore there is nothing that has, therefore there is nothing that has independent existence. Therefore, lack of independent existence is called emptiness. Emptiness means empty of bus. Walk around. Emptiness means empty of independent existence. So far, good. I repeat, things exist. When they exist, there are only two possibilities, out of which you have correctly chosen that things exist dependently. Therefore, there is nothing that is independent existence. So lack of independent existence is called emptiness. So emptiness means empty of independent existence. इतना तक तो आपको पता चल गया। अब दूसरा सवाल खड़ा होता है कि okay, let us take it that things do not exist independently. But मैंने यहाँ मेरा माथा क्यों खोना है? Why should I bother my dear head to understand this complicated thing? Things do not exist independently. Having no independent existence is called emptiness. वो खेल जो कर रहा है अब ठीक है, लेकिन मेरे से एक क्या मतलब है? That's a question. Why should I understand this one? Why should you understand this one? Why this is so important? This is important because with this kind of understanding, you will be able to remove ignorance. Ignorance means seeing things as having independent existence. Right? Ignorance means seeing things as having independent existence. But through your reasoning and logic, you came to the conclusion very clearly that things do not exist independently. So this wisdom, understanding things having no independent existence, becomes opposite to the wrong conception of seeing things as having independent existence. Misconception can be removed by correct perception. Right? Still, question lingers. Still, you can okay. That okay. Why should we remove ignorance? Because that ignorance is source of all the problems. some सच जो बुराइयां है, गलती है, क्लेश है, इनका जड़ जो है वो है अविद्या, अविद्या, ignorance we are suffering. All now when we say ignorance, generally speaking, loosely speaking, all kind of ignorance, ignorance of not knowing ABCD, which you also said, all these grandparents that sending your kids to the school and then repeat the ABCD, काका गाने जो भी है, तरक्की कर देगी, पीस ठीक कर दिया, तो थोड़ा थोड़ा कुछ आपका कि मुश्किल का समाधान तो मिल गया, है ना? ऐसा भी है all this education, ठीक है ना? But still, even after your PhD, doctorate, all these things, still you have lot of problems. है कि नहीं? हाँ, PhD करके सारा समझ जो problem है, they are coming to an end, then no need to go further. Why should you study medicine?
Hello, hello, hello,
Even after
hello, hello,
PhD, even
hello,
after so many
hello,
years, you still have
hello,
problem.
hello, hello, hello,
Why?
hello.
Because you have not removed ignorance. And in many cases, because your education has solidified your ignorance. You become before you become a professor, you may be a nice person. When you become professor, uncle and like physical student. When you become a leader, you become arrogant. So your knowledge is actually, instead of helping you from a larger perspective, it has solidified your all the misnomers, all knowledge. So education, when not directed in the right way, it stagnates. It's about listening to it. And they must have been this, no? No? Right? Therefore, when we talk about ignorance, there are basically one, as I explained, lack of knowledge, another misconception of reality. Now, the misconception of reality is, in many cases, misconception of reality is based on, sometimes we call it philosophical ignorance. Imagined ignorance. Imagined ignorance means, first one is innocent ignorance, almost like innocent ignorance. Right? Mere lack of knowledge. उसको सुधार सकना है. Second is almost like philosophical ignorance. With certain reasoning, with certain knowledges, you strengthen their ignorance. So that's why when you study all the philosophical schools, you'll find all schools everywhere. And when you reach Madhyamika school, you'll find all the education and all. There will be many cases solidified. Right? So therefore, it is a little bit more difficult to remove So, why we need to know this? As I was seeing things as having independent existence becomes source of all problems. How? You know what it is against reality. It is not true. There is nothing that exists independently. You also already affirmed this. But right now you are sitting here, you are thinking, contemplating a little bit, so you are coming to the conclusion very nicely that there is nothing that is independent existence, everything is dependent existence. इतना तक तो आप पहुंच गया. लेकिन problem is in your daily unquestioning life, regular life, you are not able to understand this. In your daily unquestioning life, when you see something attractive, something that your mind fancies, something that your mind likes, then फिर क्या होता है उधर? वाह, कितना सुंदर है, अपने और से सुंदर है, 100% beautiful, 100% handsome. ये होता है कि नहीं होता है? होता है कि नहीं होता है? It's not true. There may be some element of beauty there, be it a car or a person, whatever, but 100% there. So as a social nation, number one, it is not realistic. And because of this unrealistic attitude, the problem is, wow, so nice, so good. Then what happens? I need to have this. I need to buy this. I need to own this. Then you get obsessed with it. Develop strong attachment. How this happens, I'll tell you a story. Have you read any of the books by Robin Sharma? You read? So in one of his books, Who Will Cry When You Die? I don't know, maybe another one. I read some of these books sometime before. No. Anyway, so there is just a very interesting story. There was a father who had a small daughter. So the father one day bought a car, new nice car. Like any one of us, when you had purchased new car, you develop special obsession attachment. So at least for the first few days, I call it honeymoon period. It doesn't collect dust, huh? And you will also sure nobody touches it. You don't even like other people look at your new car. So that kind of honeymoon period was going on there. And then his little innocent child, she in a playful way just comes and scribbles something on the car. Scribbles something on the car. The father, because of his obsession with the car, after seeing that his daughter scribbles something, he pushes her. क्या कर रहा है? करके push किया. And the little daughter died on the spot. He did not mean to kill her, but it happened. So the only thing he can do is now regret and see what the little child has done, written on the car. The little daughter has written, "Father, I love you." बड़ा दिलचस्प कहानी है ये. ये होता है हमारे जीवन में, right? So with this kind of obsession attachment, you can destroy your most beloved daughter or whoever, because you become blind to things, right? So therefore, when you see, because of ignorance, when you fancy something, you tend to see it as 100% nice, and you develop excessive attachment. And likewise, when you see somebody who you don't like your enemy, then you not only say enemy is negative, but you say, this horrible enemy. I cannot have dialogue and negotiation with this person. मैंने उनसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना दैनिक जीवन में मैंने तो उनसे बात ही नहीं करता है बोलता है ना right? So you say this person is outright negative, embodiment of all the negativities. There's no possibility to have any dialogue, negotiation with this person. The only thing is eliminate that person, shoot that person. वही हो रहा है आजकल दुनिया में. This happens because you thought the enemy is like incorrigible, 100% negative. Because of that, you develop such strong hatred. So from hatred, strong hatred also comes from ignorance. So likewise, all negative things come because of not seeing the reality. If you see the reality, yes, it is good, but compared to many other things, so. ऐसा होता है ना? Even when you go to a restaurant, order a food, you thought you ordered the best food. Then someone else comes and order another food. देखता है क्या order किया? देखो ये कितना अच्छा लग रहा है, हमें वो order देना था. This happens also with the marriage. शादी कर लिया फिर दूसरा बीवी देता. Right. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is, unless you think carefully, you're not able to see the reality. You exaggerate. Either you exaggerate or you denigrate. Exaggerate is when the object and things do not have many qualities, but you put many qualities. Denigration means those people who you do not like, they may have many qualities, but you will try to demote them, belittle them. That happens. This happens because of misconception of reality because of ignorance. Now, if you develop this conception of seeing the reality, develop this wisdom seeing the reality, then reality is such that things are fragile. It's almost like living in a glass house, you know. If you are living in a glass house, don't throw stone to others. That's what they say, right? Right? Fragile. Everybody, whoever, famous, not so famous, they are all going to die. They all have their problems. They all have their difficulties. Anna, Anna, they'll all be here for a short time. Then next time they will be gone. Gone means not necessarily death, but कई लोग कल परसों चले जाएंगे, दिल्ली चले जाएंगे, कल परसों फिर जम्मू चले जाएंगे, कल परसों फिर चंडीगढ़ चले जाएंगे. हमेशा हमारे साथ में थोड़ी रहता है वो, है ना? So with this kind of understanding, then you really like a tourist, you know, you enjoy the place, make friends with everybody, है ना? So we are tourists on this planet for a short time, for a short time. Then there's no point developing too much attachment or too much hatred. Got some sense, but you need to study more, read more. And many people, they picked up a habit by saying, emptiness is so difficult. The listeners, the audience, people also say, emptiness is so difficult. और हम जैसे गुरु लोग भी क्या उस मौके का फायदा उठाने को होता है. Oh, you have to be very careful. It's so difficult. Only I know. You people will never know this one. Only I know. So difficult. नहीं difficult कुछ भी नहीं है. Practice करना. Then developing that real wisdom that sees emptiness as it is. That takes time. That is difficult. But just to get some understanding what it means is not difficult. Emptiness is like zero. In mathematics, we have zero. So zero, cipher, zero, looks like it has no value. But without zero, no other numbers can have any value. So the zero is a very kind-hearted person. The zero encourages all the number. They say, I am always there with you. You go ahead and I will follow you and I'll give you value. तो फिर एक नंबर आ गया बोलता है चलो मेरे पीछे आओ. पहले एक नंबर एक ही है ना, फिर जीरो नंबर में आपके पीछे आऊंगा, फिर क्या होगा? That's the thing. So similarly, emptiness looks like it is empty, no value, but it's the source of all the things. Because things, therefore Nagarjuna said, where emptiness is possible, everything is possible. Where emptiness is not possible, nothing is possible. So where emptiness is possible, everything possible means emptiness means empty of independent existence, but there is dependent existence. Because of this dependent existence, we can create so many things, do so many things. This is also true with impermanence. Impermanence does not mean only death and decay. Impermanence means change. So within that flow of change, if you do the good thing, you can become better. If you do the bad thing, you will become worse. Right? Okay. Then after this, the next verses are saying, therefore you must guard your mind. Therefore you must guard your mind. Verse number 18. Therefore you must guard your mind. This being so, I shall hold and guard my mind well. Without the discipline of guarding the mind, what use are many other disciplines? What use of other disciplines means? You change your clothes, become a monk. That's one way of observing discipline. You observe a meditative posture and sit there looking very nice. That's also discipline, that's also conduct. But if you let the mind loose, unguarded, nothing of this external disciplines or will be of any help. Right? Just as I would be attentive and careful of a wound when amidst a bustling, uncontrolled mind, so should I always guard the wound of my mind when dwelling among harmful people. For example, if you have a problem with your leg or you have a festering wound, something like that, then if you join a crowd, you have to be very careful that nobody touches this wound. So similarly, you should, when with many people, guard the wound of your mind. And if I'm careful of a wound through fear of it being slightly hard, then why do I not guard the wound of my mind through fear of being crushed by the mountains of hell? In this way, right? In this way, if you continue to guard your mind, then should I behave in such a way as these, then whether among harmful people or even in the midst of women, why not men? Consideration, it will talk many bad things about women because they had women, but because this was addressed to the monks. Okay? So don't say that. Buddhist teachings are also discriminatory. Should I behave in such a way as this, whether among harmful people or even in the midst of women, the steady effort to control myself will not decline. It's better to be without wealth. Without wealth, okay. Without honor, okay. Without body, okay. Without livelihood, okay. And it is better to let other virtues. Similarly, it's okay to let other virtues deteriorate or decline, rather than ever to let the virtues of the mind decline. Right? Other things, okay. But if your mind is declining, deteriorating, it's not okay. Okay. So therefore, in order to guard this mind, you must maintain mindfulness. Verse number 23. O you who wish to guard your minds, I beseech you with folded hands, always accept yourself to guard mindfulness and alertness. See, this is very moving. Shantideva is requesting us with folded hands. हाथ जोड़ कर हमसे रिक्वेस्ट करता है, उनके लिए नहीं, हम लोगों के लिए. So if you want to guard your minds, I beseech you with folded hands, always exert yourself in guard, mindfulness and alertness. Right? This is important. Then a little bit more explanation, more elaborate explanation. And then it talks about the faults of not having guarding alertness or conscientiousness. For example, he says, people who are disturbed by sickness have no strength to do anything useful. Likewise, those whose minds are disturbed by confusion have no strength to do anything wholesome. See, when you let your mind unguarded, then you are really like a sick person. A sick person, physically sick person, has no capacity to do any manual or labor or hard work. So similarly, when your mind is disturbed by negative emotions, then you can't do anything. इसमें आपको सोचना पड़ेगा. You should contemplate on this. What does this mean? For example, if your mind is obsessed with attachment, then your mind has no power to do anything. उसी में आप खो जाओगे. If your mind is obsessed with revenge, दिन रात वही सोचेंगे हम लोग. Right? Sometimes you pick a fight with somebody, then because of that fight, your mind is completely disturbed, and your mind remains disturbed not only in the day but in the night also. You keep on thinking, "Sala, उसने ऐसे कहा, उसको मैं देख लूँगा." नींद नहीं आता उसको, करवाटे बदलते बोलते हैं ना. You keep on changing sides. किसको नुकसान हुआ, जिसको तुमने नुकसान पहुंचाना तो उसको पता नहीं अब क्या कर रहा है, अब यहाँ सफर कर रहा है. That's what he always tells the Tibetans. You never hedge ill will against the Chinese torturers, because if you do that, you will become the victim, not the Chinese leaders. So when you develop these negative emotions, you should realize that I will become the first victim. When you become angry towards somebody, then somebody may be shopping in the market, drinking wine, something, enjoying, but you are already miserable. Yeah, so when we talk about removing these negative emotions, not just for other people, it's for yourself. Similarly, whatever has been learnt, contemplated, and meditated upon by those whose minds lack alertness, just like water in a leaking pot, leaking vase. The birds telling it, this is a radical thing. If you don't have this burning alertness, then you're listening to the teaching, your contemplation on the teaching, your meditation on the teaching, they will all gradually disappear. The effect of all this will disappear because you do not have this burning alertness and mindfulness. Right? And that's why we find many people will not be retained in their memory, even those who have. Okay, this line actually, this line goes, this first line is from the verse 25. Just like water in a leaking vase will not be retained in their memory. ये आगे करना है. उसके बाद फिर ये आता है. Even those with such learning, much learning, faith and willing perseverance will become defiled by a moral form due to the mistake of lacking alertness. बहुत सारे लोग learned लोग हैं, devoted लोग हैं, वो भी एक गलती करके बैठता है, वही बोल रहा है ना, क्योंकि आपके पास वो guardian alertness नहीं है. These thieves of unalertness, in falling upon the decline of mindfulness, will steal even the merits I firmly gathered, so that I shall then proceed to lower realms. So all these negative emotions, they are very opportunistic. They are looking for opportunity. Whenever you relax your attention and focus, they will see the opportunity and harm you. That's what he's saying here. So here he's saying that the thieves, they are looking for an opportunity. As soon as they realize that your mindfulness is weakened, declined, then they will immediately come and steal all the merits that you earned so far. Just like a thief stealing. And because of this, you will fall into the lower realms. This host of thieves who are and destroy that in a heavy level. Okay? And then the next question is, okay, if that is the case, how can I maintain mindfulness? How can I maintain mindfulness? Verse 29 says, therefore I shall never let mindfulness from the doorway of my mind. If it goes, I should recall the music. If your mindfulness is departing, you're getting distracted, फिर आपको थोड़ा डराना है. क्या बोलना चाहिए? बाकी ऐसे खो के मत बैठो, तुम नीचे बहुत जल्दी गिर सकता है. Something like that. I'm really tempted to explain this whole thing in Hindi. It will be much easier, lot of fun. Next time I'll try. Right. Therefore, I shall never let mindfulness depart from the doorway of my mind. If it goes, I should recall the misery of the lower realms and firmly reestablish it there. This is one way. The other, there are many other ways. The other facilitating factors are through staying in the company of spiritual masters, through the instruction of efforts and through fear. Mindfulness will easily be generated in fortunate people who practice with respect. Right? Another way is that you keep in constant touch with your spiritual teacher, associate with them. That will help you generate mindfulness. Therefore, all the teachings, they say that you should not be separated from your teacher. And then your Lama or efforts will also tell you what to adopt and what to give up. And accordingly you will follow. And then you will also, if you don't follow, then there is a fear that they will scold you. Fear in with through the instructions, efforts, and through fear. Through fear means when you're staying with your lamas and teachers, if you don't practice what they teach, then they might scold you, right? So you are fearful of their scolding, and also you will have this fear of ending up doing negative things. And that way you practice mindfulness with respect. Even otherwise, you should always think that I am ever dwelling in the practice of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, who are always endowed with unobstructed vision. आजकल बोलता है ना, ऊपर वाला देख रहा है. कई बार बोलता है ना, ऊपर वाला देख रहा है. ऊपर वाला कौन? आजकल ज्यादातर जब वो बोलता है ऊपर वाला देख रहा है, मतलब सीसीटीवी. सीसीटीवी. लेकिन यहाँ सीसीटीवी नहीं बोल रहा है, ऊपर वाला देख रहा है. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they have unobstructed mind, they have omniscient mind. So don't think that they are not watching. वो भी सोचने से फर्क होता है, ठीक है? With mind, by thinking in this way, I shall mindfully develop a sense of shame, respect, and fear. Also, through doing this, recollection of Buddha will repeatedly occur. Right? So, with this kind of thinking, you will also develop some sense of shame and forbearance, thinking that it's not suitable for me to do these negative things. And similarly, you should have concern for what other people say or what other people think. So you should remain in this way. When mindfulness is set with the purpose of guarding the doorway of the mind, then alertness will come about. And even that which had gone will return. So if you continue to practice development of mindfulness consciousness, then gradually they will always be there. Right? Then next is talking about how to engage in mind training with mindfulness and consciousness. When just as I'm about to act, when you are about to act something, I see that my mind is tainted with defilement. At such a time, I should remain unmovable like a piece of wood, जैसे कि मैंने बोला था. फिर आपको, when you find that your mind is thinking something nasty, then you should know that and then control yourself and don't say anything, don't do anything, remain like a piece of wood. Never should I look around distractedly for no purpose. With a resolute mind, I should always keep my eyes cast forwards. Right? तो आंख भी कैसे देखना ये सब आपको सिखा रहा है। बोलता कि ऐसे मत जाओ कि हमने कुछ खोया है, चारों तरफ ऐसे देखे जा रहा है, चोर की तरह ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। हाँ, रास्ता देखो पहले तुम, गिरना चाहिए। हाँ, चारों वैसे ऐसे देखा फिर गिर जाता है ना। So mindfulness, consciousness is needed even when you walk, even when you eat. And how do you eat? ठीक से चबाता नहीं है, जल्दी जल्दी डालते हैं मुंह में, है ना। The taste of the food in the mouth comes only when you mix it properly with your saliva. सबसे पहले डाइजेशन मुंह में होता है, नीचे नहीं होता है। मुंह में ठीक से सलेवा से मिक्स करके डाइजेशन नहीं करके नीचे फेंक देगा ना, तो नीचे वाला भी बोलेगा साला इसने काम ठीक नहीं किया, सारा जिम्मेदार मेरे ऊपर छोड़ दिया, चलो छोड़ दो, वो भी करेगा, फिर आप डाइजेशन नहीं होगा, टेस्ट भी नहीं होता, डाइजेशन नहीं होता। So therefore they say chew the solid, chew the liquid and swallow the solid. That's the formula how you should eat. Chew the liquid means normally when we hear this, we say, what is he saying? There's nothing to chew in the liquid. That's what we think, but you should really, because it's tea or any liquid, you should not just gulp it down. Just roll it a little bit. Taste the flavor. Chew the liquid. And swallow the solid doesn't mean that without chewing you just swallow it, then you will die, of course. But what it's saying is you should chew the solid in such a way so that later on you will be able to swallow it. You should experiment and see it. मजा आ जाएगा, खाने का स्वाद आ जाएगा, खाने का भी स्वाद नहीं आएगा, सामने रखा है वो खाने पहचान नहीं रही क्या रखा है, वो सब मुंह में डाल दिया, बिना सोचे समझे ऐसे डाल दिया, फिर बहुत ज्यादा मिर्ची है वहाँ करता है कि नहीं करता है, उसमें भी माइंडफुलनेस होना चाहिए। माइंडफुलनेस होना चाहिए उसमें भी, ठीक है ना। So this is what he's saying. Never should I look around distractedly for no purpose. With the resolute mind. But in order, for a short while, I should look around a little bit, especially if you're going in a place where there is risk of having a bear or a lion or tiger. उसके लिए तुम थोड़ा देखो, ठीक है ना, रास्ते में सांप है नहीं, वो तो देखना पड़ता है। To check if there's any danger on the path, I should look again and again in the four directions. वो देखने का ढंग अलग है यहाँ, खोया खोया सा देखना नहीं है ना। To rest, I should turn my head around and then look behind me. Having examined both ahead and behind, I should proceed to either come or go. Being aware of mindfulness, I should behave like this in all situations. Once having prepared for living in such a way, then how the body is being maintained. With the utmost effort, I should check to see that the crazed elephant of my mind is not wandering off the great pillar of thinking about Dharma. Those who strive by all means for concentration should not wander off even for a moment by thinking, how is my mind behaving? They should closely analyze their mind. Because if you're focusing on concentration, then you can't afford to get distracted. But if I'm unable to do this because of certain situations, if I'm unable to do this when afraid or involved in celebration, then I should relax. Right? Likewise, it has been taught that at times of giving, one may be indifferent to certain aspects of moral discipline. Right? So that means if there is like fear, But if I'm unable to do this when afraid means if there is fear of presence of tigers and lions, or you're participating in a celebration of Buddha's birthday or His Holiness' birthday, and you're making lot of offerings and so forth, or you're in haste to do some work for other people, and at such occasions you will not be able to remain concentrated. But that doesn't mean you should not maintain mindfulness and conscientiousness. You should have your mindfulness and concentration. क्या देख रहा है, कहाँ देख रहा है, ऑफरिंग ठीक से हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, अपना काम ठीक से हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, वो सब देख के करना पड़ता है. Moral discipline. I should undertake whatever deed I have intended to do, and think of doing other than it. I should undertake whatever deed I have intended to do, and think of doing other than that. ये गलत है. And do not think of doing other than that. ये मैंने पहले आपको बताया था. मैंने बताया था ना आपको, ज़्यादा प्रोजेक्ट मत शुरू करो. जो शुरू करेगा उसको पहले खत्म करो, बोला था ना, वो ये बोल रहे हैं. I should undertake whatever deed I have intended to do, and do not think of doing other than that. पहले एक तो खत्म करो ठीक से, है ना? With my mind applied to the given task, one task, I should set about the time being to accomplish it. So that means I should, आजकल बोलते हैं ना deadline में खत्म करो. If you do this, by acting in this way, all will be done well. मैं बताया था आपको. But by acting otherwise, meaning taking 3-4 projects, neither action will be done. इधर से भी थोड़ा कर दिया, उधर से भी थोड़ा कर दिया, फिर छोड़ दिया. Just like old men cutting the beard, इधर से भी थोड़ा कर, उधर से भी थोड़ा कर, बीच में छोड़ दिया, ऐसा नहीं करना. Likewise, there will be no increase in the proximate disturbing conceptions that come from lack of alertness. Right? Tanya, to do something different. Okay, stop here. Some questions?
Hello. Krishna, as you said, understanding about emptiness is easier, but practicing is difficult. So for whenever I try to practice it, is like nearly impossible, Geshe-la. And all the bodhisattvas which I know of are like from centuries back. And this is 21st century, and in my daily business, practicing impermanence and emptiness seems so difficult, Geshe-la. I mean, do I need to go to a cave to just understand for years? Because this is 21st century, Geshe-la.
Okay, my answer is, it is not important to be busy.
So, Geshe-la,
is it important to be busy? It's not important to be busy. What is important is, what are you busy about? व्यस्त होना कोई खास बात नहीं है. किस चीज में व्यस्त है?
So, Geshe-la, in this 21st century, we have to earn also. For that, we have to do complete education system also. So now, do we need to go on this education system, or do we need to go to a cave and understand emptiness?
and stay alone. I mean to say.
There is a path called middle way. गुफा में भी तो वो नहीं जाना है और आपका जो प्रयास है वो भी नहीं छोड़ना है, मिडिल वे है।
उससे तो निभाना तो प्राप्त नहीं होगा ना गेशेला।
थोड़ा आगे बढ़ो। निर्वाण प्राप्त नहीं होने से भी कोई थोड़ा तो आगे बढ़ो। So I give you the example that how many times you eat. So similarly, you should, whenever possible, थोड़ा कुछ समय तो मिल ही जाता है। Even if you are a student, even if you are have some other jobs to do, समय तो मिल जाता है। जैसे कि for example, in my case, सवेरे अगर if I get up at 5 or 6, until 9, I have time. 9 बजे मुझे दफ्तर जाना पड़े। 9 से 5 तक दफ्तर। फिर 5 के बाद 6, 7, 8, 9 जितना भी तुमको समय चाहिए, समय है। समय है। समय का पाबंदी नहीं है। तो सोच का ठीक है ना? तो समय निकलना पड़ता है। And the problem with, I'm not targeting this to you, but the problem with many people is, they say, yes, Your Holiness, this teaching is very important, but I have no time. Many person, many years before, even when I was not His Holiness Dalai Lama's translator, there was a French group who had requested His Holiness to give a teaching. So I was also attending it. At that time, I had no translator's job, so I was just enjoying the teaching. So there was one French lady. She got up and during the question answer, she got up, Your Holiness, your teaching is so good, but in the West we have no time. Then His Holiness, you know what was his answer? He said, it is your choice if you want to do practice or not. So I really thought, His Holiness, are you a little bit blunt today? He was not blunt, but he's telling the truth. He's saying that if you really want to do practice, you have to find the time. So many people, they set other things as more important. नाचना बहुत जरूरी है, गाना बहुत जरूरी है, मार्केट में घूमना बहुत जरूरी है। ये सब करके फिर थोड़ा कुछ समय बच गया तो शायद मैं प्रैक्टिस करूंगा थोड़ा सा। So that means your mental attitude itself is wrong. Your choice of priority is wrong. Yeah. So therefore, if you are very serious, that's why, as I told you, the Buddha did not give the teaching right away. He said, if you want to listen to the teaching, there should be some seriousness. Yeah. Yeah. So this practice of spirituality should be your national highway. It should be your national highway. National highway में ड्राइव करते करते फिर इधर उधर थोड़ा जा सकता तुम नाश्ता पानी के लिए, लेकिन वो national highway नहीं पकड़ जाना चाहिए, because that is the most important thing. If you are really somebody who is thinking about achieving long-lasting happiness, it's the most important thing. Okay.
इसीलिए बोधिसत्व आजकल के जनरेशन में नहीं निकल रहा है।
हाँ।
इसीलिए आजकल के जनरेशन में बोधिसत्व नहीं निकल रहा है। पहले तो thousands of
किसने बोला बोधिसत्व नहीं निकल रहा है? To some extent you may be right, but to other extent, who knows where bodhisattvas are? तो announce करके तो नहीं आएगा ना, मैं बोधिसत्व है, सब यहाँ आ जाओ बोल के थोड़ी आएगा वो। Especially in Buddhism, we are not allowed to advertise our knowledge. But still, to a great extent, you are right. Maybe much less than before. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Geshe. So another question that was wondering in my mind was, what is the difference between God and the enlightened one? Because I always used to mismatch these two things. That I believe that I thought the enlightened one is the God and the God is the enlightened one. So I always used to get distracted between these two things.
Totally wrong, totally different. The God, capital G, not the small g. Okay? The capital G, God, is creator of, believed to be the creator of universe. In Buddhism, we have no such concept. Buddha is not creator of the universe. Buddha was also like you and me in the beginning, but he was a sensible human being. So he started exploring from where the suffering is coming, from where happiness is coming. Then he got enlightened, right? So Buddhism, we do not believe in a creator God. With due respect to those who believe in that.
Okay, then Geshe-la, Buddha tells us not to build a statue. He tells that we should just follow his lessons.
Buddha what?
Buddha tells us not to build his statue. He
Not
tells
to.
build his statue and worship him. He used to tell that actually I've read something.
I don't know whether he said such a thing.
No, actually I've read about this kind of things in the internet that like His Holiness also says that he's a normal human being. Likewise, Buddha also used to say, don't build my statue and don't do all those.
No, that is a different thing. My statue, that's a different thing. I don't think Buddha never said don't build a statue, but he might have said don't build my statue. Possible, but I don't know. But the first Buddhist art that we have at the entrance of most of the temples and monasteries, Bhava Chakra, the wheel of life, that was commissioned by Buddha. And then he also helped one king to paint his image. So he did not say don't build image and things like that. In fact, the 8 stupas, they're all constructed in accordance with the guidance of Buddha himself. But yes, there are occasions when we say don't build my image, because he is somebody who is not, is not very interested in personification, highlighting himself. Therefore, there is a Zen master who said, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. There's a book right in the beginning, it says, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. That sounds very violent, right? But he did not mean to eliminate Buddha physically. But what he was saying was, Buddha in his life never asked people to pray for me or see him as the most important, things like that, right? So therefore, if people today unfortunately talk so much about Buddha but don't practice the teaching, so because of that.
Thanks for clarifying my doubt, Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Geshe-la, if Buddha is a normal person like us, then
In the beginning, he was a normal person.
Okay, in the beginning he was normal
Be very
person.
careful what you say.
Yes, Geshe-la. If Buddha was in the beginning, he was a normal person like us, then why did he took birth from the arms of her mother rather than the womb?
That was, we call it 12 deeds of Buddha.
Okay.
12 deeds of Buddha. 12 deeds of Buddha means that doesn't mean that's the reality. But in order to help other sentient beings, he had performed 12 deeds. Japa chuni, japa. Acting, he was kind of acting that he is not enlightened, then getting enlightened. This was acting. That's one way of saying that. The other thing that is very difficult for us to believe that Buddha was born here is, I read one text which says that this is not really the case that he's born from here, but in order to show that he's born in a high caste, royal family, so in order to show that people make statements like this.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
So, Geshe-la, why did the Buddha say, put his hand like this and say, this is my last life on this world and something else? What and how could he say that, and why did he say that?
What?
Geshe-la, I was saying like, why did the Buddha, when he was born from his mother, did this and said, this is the last, this is my last life on this planet.
Yeah, this like gestures may be done later on, but he did say that this is my last thing because he got already enlightened.
Gisela, so my question is very simple. So whenever you get bored, what do you do? Do you play some songs and dance or do something else?
What did you say?
Whenever you get bored, what do you do?
I sleep. खाना का मर के सो जाता है और क्या हाँ? I hardly get bored. No reason I should get bored because life is so interesting. I have so many interesting books to read, so many interesting parents to talk to, and I'm most of the time very busy meeting people, giving online teaching talks. You know, to get bored, you need time. People who get bored, that means they have nothing good to do. Then they get bored, you know. But when you're very busy and heavy with many things, you don't get bored. You sometimes you get tired, yes, that's true, but you don't get bored. You should ask this question to yourself. So what do you do? Singing, dancing. That's good, yeah. When I was young, I used to watch like anybody, right? So nowadays also, I hardly watch one movie from the beginning to the end. मेरे पास समय नहीं है. लेकिन वो टीवी महाराजा यहाँ पर है, तो I am tempted to look at क्या हो रहा है, राजनीति में क्या हो रहा है, हाँ, कांग्रेस जनता पार्टी क्या कर रहा है, हाँ, और मूवी में आजकल कौन आ रहा है, थोड़ा थोड़ा झलक में दिखता है, फिर उसे ज़्यादा देखने की जरूरत नहीं, समझ में आ जाता है. And it's good, really, because then you know क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में. If I pretend I am serious practitioner, I have nothing to do with all this. In a way, very good. Many people are able to do that. But I am a stupid person, so I am not able to do that. I have to keep in touch with so many things. That way I know what is happening, what is the real problem. है ना? तो आपका सिर और हाथ ऊपर होना चाहिए, लेकिन पाँव जमीन में होना चाहिए. Okay? You can dance only if your feet is on the ground. Yeah.
Like Geshe-la, we say that everything exists by dependently, everything is dependently originated.
Yeah.
So can we say that everything is impermanent, right?
No. Because permanent things are not dependent on causes and conditions. They are dependent, but they are not dependent on causes and conditions.
Like Geshe-la, I've learned earlier that the non-composite thing, Geshe-la, like I've learned earlier that the non-composite thing, like a space, is permanent, right?
Yeah.
So can we say that the space is independently originated?
No. Why you call space space? If you did not give the name space, it will not be there. So it's dependent on the designation.
So the space is
Also designated, dependent on the designation.
But the space is permanent.
Yes.
Is it?
Space means, for example, emptiness is permanent. Emptiness is permanent, right? So similar, I can say whiteness or the abstract qualities, I think is permanent. Yeah.
Thank you, Vishnu.
बोलिए क्या बोल रहा था? Yeah, universe is impermanent. Yes, it is not going to last forever. Yes, right. जवाब दुरुस्त है.
Geshe-la,
Yeah.
nowadays there is a web called We Buddhist, something like that. In that, they try to promote the Buddhism through digitalizations.
Yes.
Yeah. So how much it is effective for the student? Because most of the students, they are playing with the mobiles for 7 hours, and out of the 7 hours, if they can share just 5 minutes to this some digital promotions of the Buddhist teachings to the influencers or to the creators. So how it would be effective for the new generations group, rather than, because there are so many tax teachings going on, but they say they don't get the time, but they get a time at the home just to see the reels and many others things. So if we digitally promote this our Buddhist teaching rather than making a big status in the Dukang.
It is happening.
Sir.
It is happening. Digital library.
Okay.
Coming up with a digital library is a big project of the Central Tibetan Administration of the Tibetan government. It's a big project.
Okay.
And my institute, Library of Tibetan Works, right now have 5-6 people in full swing digitizing all the old manuscripts, things like that.
Okay.
So this is the goal of the time. All of the time. I'm not saying don't use AI, don't use ChatGPT. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is be careful. Be careful, right? Otherwise, you can use all these platforms. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe.
Like whether like the mobile phone, whether the mobile phone is useful or destructive is dependent upon the user. If you use it nicely, it's so useful. You don't have to travel 2 kilometers to meet somebody. Just first make a call. And similarly, religion by itself is not good. Religion is good or bad dependent upon the user. Just like we say dirty politics. Politics itself is not dirty, but because people, it becomes dirty. So similarly, religion also will become dirty religion if it is misused. Okay. So it depends upon how you use all those things. If you use it properly, everything is useful. Yeah.
Like you said, the space, we give it a name, therefore it is not independently oriented, right?
Yeah.
But we give it a name or not, but we can't change it, we can't be destroyed, there is no person condition there.
If you don't give a name, how would you know it is there? How would you know it is there? Anything, whether it is there or not, is determined by the mind. If nothing is determined by the mind, it is not there. That means the definition that something is existent is because it is observed by a valid cognition. So existence or non-existence dependent upon whether it is observed by a valid cognition or not. Otherwise, how can I think about anything there or not there? Because right now you have some idea about the space. That's why you start thinking that even if you don't give a name, it should be there. But if you never heard about space, how will you talk about space? Yeah.
Please allow me to ask you one question.
Yeah.
It is about past life, present life, and future life.
Yeah.
Many of my friends asking me the question about the past life, which we call in Tibetan Kewa Thoma Mepane, Kewa Thoma Med Tamayul. When we become a Buddha or when we become a pure, there is the end of the life.
But not end of life, but end of life in samsara.
But what is the beginning? The beginningless, we call it Thoma Mepan, which is not, I'm not able to give a correct answer.
Yeah, you can't give a good answer because the reality is there's no beginning. So because there's no beginning, how can you say? How can you make any explanation about that?
How everything comes if there is no beginning?
When you say there is a beginning, then you have to pinpoint your time where you can say at such and such year and such time it all started. But in Buddhism we say you can't pinpoint such a time. Because if if I have my parents have to have their parents, they have to their parents. So how far can you go? You go and suddenly start saying it's all started from nowhere. It's ridiculous. That's why beginningless.
We call it beginningless love.
In fact, I think it was the very famous Western philosopher Bertrand Russell. I read a lot of his books. So Bertrand Russell says that people who try to pinpoint the beginning of human life shows the smallness of their mind. इनका दिमाग बहुत छोटा है इसलिए खोजना पड़ता है यहाँ से शुरू हो ऐसा नहीं है. How can you say that suddenly everything started there? That's one reason we don't believe in a creator God. The reason is if the rest of the sentient beings and other things have to be created by God, if they have to be created by God, then why God has not been created by someone else? So we can't digest this logic that God is created by nobody, and then He comes and He creates everybody. Illogical, right?
Last question. Sorry.
Just on the follow-up question on permanence. Follow-up question on permanence.
Permanence.
Yes, you said abstract qualities are permanent. I'm sorry to ask you this question, but is meaning of life permanent? Is karma also permanent?
No.
No. So there are some
Meaning of life.
yeah.
When you say meaning of life, meaning of life is created by causes and conditions. So it's not permanent.
So permanent.
You create meaning of life.
Yeah.
I create meaning of life. So it's not permanent.
What about what about but
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much.
This is very complicated.
Yes.
Because when we say emptiness is abstract quality, like whiteness, we say it is permanent. And we do say that it is not created by causes and conditions. Right? But emptiness can also disappear, right? Or at least emptiness of this book can disappear. When the book disappears, the emptiness of this book will not be there. So from that, can we say that emptiness of this book is impermanent? No. Still we say emptiness of this book is permanent. Because it just I don't know how to say this, not easy. It's an abstract conception. We don't need answer for all the questions. There should be really tough questions which you should really explore and think more. Right?
Logically, if we think it should be more.
Should be what?
The impermanence of this book, emptiness of this book is impermanent. Permanent. Logically, if we think.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because emptiness we say permanent, therefore the emptiness of this book is permanent. If you say that, then when the book disappears, the emptiness of the book also disappears. So does that mean the emptiness of the book is also impermanent? That's my question. But normally the answer is, anything disappearing does not mean that it's impermanent. The demarcation of anything, whether it's permanent or impermanent, is whether it is produced by causes and conditions, permanent. be there forever. But it's not easy to think about. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe Le.
Okay.
Thank you for taking questions.
Chanjo semjo remoji, mate bana ke kusin, ke bana bana une kongo. Ama semje tamje, te na temjo. Chanjo semba bana swisho pa, te na temjo mona. Chisi nonga ne wata, rawa chisi. Chisi dane ne jone, roge donge se wala. Tuji che.
You answer the Tatpin Valley.
Skevanyamba me paya, kome kondu pelvarsho, chanchu sem chorim boche, ma ke bana ke gyurshi, Kevanyamba me paya, Kome kondu belvarsho. Sit down. Sit down. Group discussion, man. Yeah, please go for the tea break and have a group discussion. Mana? Oh, sorry.
Chamale Jule, announcement teaching Pinyale. Tapsamana Zinda has a chosen exam session cultivating